Hello everybody, and welcome to our class video about the vocabulary of 3D objects. Our learning goal is that you will be able to name and describe attributes of 3D figures. I want you to be well versed in all of the words that we use in geometry to describe 3D objects. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so let's talk the basics. A general term for a three-dimensional figure is a solid. Okay? Now we mean it slightly differently than in physics where we're talking about like solids, liquids, and gases, but we're just using it to talk about a three-dimensional figure. Okay? Now, among solids there are things called polyhedrons, which is a solid formed out of polygons. There are other types, but the two main types are prisms and pyramids. Or, in Spanish, prism would be prisma, and pyramid would be pirámide. Now, hey, stop. Don't make fun of my white boy Spanish accent. Okay, I'm doing this to help those who are in our class whose dominant language is Spanish. Okay, so what's the difference between these two? A prism has two bases, whereas a pyramid has only one base. The base on the pyramid is pretty easy to see. Okay? It's typically shown as the bottom, but it doesn't have to be. Okay? And there's only one of them. Okay, now on the prism over here we have two bases. They're both parallel and congruent. That's a requirement to be a prism. Here's one base of the triangular prism, and there's the other. Okay? You see how both triangles are congruent. They're both exactly the same size and shape, and they're parallel. They're never going to touch. Okay, so now if we're talking Spanish here, base is actually spelled the same in Spanish. You just have to say it different. Base. Alright? So here we go. Let's talk about some other things. We're going to talk about vertices, edges, and faces. Alright? So first, here's a vertex, or in Spanish, vértice. Okay? So that's a point where, it's like a corner of the three-dimensional figure. Okay? It's where two edges meet. We'll talk about edges in a second. Alright? So, how many vertices do we have on this figure? In total, there's 6. Do you see them there? Okay. Notice that vertex is singular, but when we make it plural, we say vertices. Hey, it looks kind of like the Spanish word. Anyway, let's keep going. So, now what about edges? Okay. Edges are like shown there. In Spanish, we would say arista. You might have to correct me on my pronunciation. But anyway, so that's where two faces come together. How many edges do we have in this figure? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There, we have 9 edges. Okay, you see how that worked? Okay, what about faces? A face is one of the flat surfaces on the figure. Okay? How many faces do we have? Well, there's 1, there's 2 and 3. Note that the bases count as faces. Hey, it rhymes. So, some faces are bases, but not all bases are faces, but not all faces are bases. There we go. Okay, so that's some, but we still got a couple more. The bottom face is 4. Then there's also one on the very top. That top rectangle is 5. So we have 5 faces on this triangular prism. Alright? So you try counting how many vertices, edges, and faces are on the pyramid. Pause the video for just a sec, count them, and then we'll see if you're right. Okay, let's see how you did. There are 5 vertices. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright? How about edges? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 edges. and faces. The bottom base counts as 1. The front triangle counts as 2. The left side 3, right side 4, and the back side 5. There are 5 faces. Okay? Alright, now the other thing we need to talk about is what the meaning of this word lateral. Okay? So the lateral faces are on the sides. That's not the base. So all the faces that are not bases are lateral. Okay? On the triangular prism, that would be number 1, 4, and 5. Okay? You see how those are not the base? Because the bases are 2 and 3. Okay. What shape are all of those? Faces 1, 4, and 5 are all rectangles. That's true for all prisms. Okay? Their lateral faces are all rectangles. For a pyramid, the lateral faces would be 2, 3, 4, and 5. The only one that's a base and doesn't count is number 1. Okay? All of those are triangles. Okay? For all pyramids, the lateral faces are triangles. Okay, so now let's talk about how to name prisms and pyramids. We name prisms and pyramids by the shape of their base. Okay? So if you can identify the base, then you can name it. Let's look at the first one. There's the base right there. What shape is it? Well, it's a hexagon. Okay? Now, to name a prism or a pyramid, we're going to take the shape of the base and add the letters AL at the end of it. Okay? So, in this case, I just put the word hexagon in front of it. Okay? And it will be a hexagonal prism. We know it's a prism because there are 2 hexagons. There are 2 bases. That's the hallmark of a prism. Notice when I said it that I changed the way I said the letter A. It used to be hexagon, but now it's hexagonal. The changed to an A. Okay? That's important. Don't say hexagonal. That's wrong. It's hexagonal. Okay? Alright, how about B? There's the base. That's a trapezoid. So I'll do the same thing. We'll say it's a trapezoidal prism. I know it's a prism because, again, there are 2 bases. Do you think you can name the third one before I do it? Pause the video if you think you can. Okay? The shape of the base is a pentagon. So we stick AL at the end of it. It would be pentagonal prism. Notice I had to change the way I said the A again. So pentagonal pyramid. Okay? Then on D, the base is a square. So this will just be a square pyramid. That's an exception. Okay? Notice that it's a square pyramid, not a squirrel pyramid. In that case, it sounds like you're saying the word squirrel, and it's not. It's a square pyramid. Squirrel, I guess, would be something like this. Hey, Mommy, look, it's a squirrel. Oh, okay. And now, hey, no making fun of my artwork. I'm a math teacher, not an art teacher, okay? All right. Some non-polyhedrons that you probably know are the cylinder, or cilindro. We've also got a cone, or as you might guess, cono, and a sphere, esfera. Okay? The cylinder is kind of like a circular version of a prism, and the cone a circular version of a pyramid. Alright? The last thing to talk about are cross-sections. A cross-section is the shape that is exposed when a figure is cut along a plane. In Spanish, that would be sección transversal. Okay, so when we cut one of these figures along a plane, it's going to have a shape on top that it reveals. I'll help you visualize it. So let's say we're going to cut on E this square pyramid along that plane. Okay, we're cutting it horizontally. What shape would we see? Here's a picture. Okay, that top shape there would be a square because it's parallel to the base. So that cross section is a square. What about on F? Can you visualize it? What shape do you think it would make if I cut it down straight down the middle? If I made that cut, here's a picture. That cross section would be a triangle. That would be the shape that you would see if we cut it right there. What about G? Can you get that one? If we cut it along that plane, it would look like this. What shape is revealed? That's a trapezoid. Did you get it? Okay, so that's the basics of three-dimensional figures. Don't go chasing too many squirrels, and I'll see you guys in class.